Hello good people and welcome back. Have you guys ever seen a chess game where the winning Grandmaster appears to simply move forward with unrestrained maximal aggression, the likes played by Mikhail Tal and Garry Kasparov? And yet, in retrospect, if you analyze the game, all the moves make sense because in this case, to attack is to attack and the best way to defend is to move forward or attack. Now, I have such a game for you, played by Hikaru Nakamura more than 15 years ago, at the time of this recording of course. This one's a nice study. Let's boost that ELO. Let's get it.
Round 1. Fight!
So this game took place in Wijk, Netherlands during the Corus Group A tournament. This is 2010. White is played by Hikaru Nakamura and Black is played by Loek van Wely. Oh, before I begin, before I forget, if you find this content helpful, useful, and somewhat tolerable, please leave a like and sub. You have my gratitude. Let's get started. Alright guys, so White starts with e4. c5 by the opponent's Sicilian Defense, knight to f3, d6. d4, c takes d, knight takes d4, knight to f6, attacking e4, the usual stuff, knight to c6, a6, restricting b5 and potentially pushing there on b5. Bishop to g5 by Hikaru. Now usually with these, this move bishop to g5, the idea is to push on f4. Not like the solid bishop to e3. e6, f4. Knight b to d7, queen to f3. What looks like queenside is being prepared for a queen castle. Queen to c7. Bishop takes, knight takes, and perhaps Hikaru will castle queen. He doesn't. g4. Trying to ask Black, where would you like that knight to go? Mind you though, in Super Grandmaster chess, this is still all quite theory. b5. Ideas here, ideas of opening the file. g5 by Hikaru. Knight to d7, and he castles into the fray, basically. Knight to c5. Here Hikaru restricts b4 from being pushed. Rook to b8. The attempt is to push on b4 and open up the files here, which Hikaru just pushes forward. Now you do weaken your light squares, but Hikaru is here for blood and doesn't want more damage than his opponent, so he closes the possibility of pushing this and opening a file there on the b file. Knight to d7. And here Hikaru plays knight to d5, which, I mean, I would highlight as brilliant move, but this is all part of theory. A theory being you can't ignore and you can't avoid capturing this knight, because queen to d8 just simply leads to a fork. I can't draw lines, I swear I can, and queen to a7 meets the same fate. Knight to c6. So, you take. He takes on d5, and while Hikaru just sacrificed a whole knight, he does have this. And he does have c6 to hop on. He's completely and fully developed, although he's down a knight. So Black plays bishop to e7, Hikaru plays rook to e1. And you can see that the intent is to keep the king pinned. If you castle, this infiltrates the 7th rank. You get your piece back with return. And if Black is foolish enough to play something like knight to b6, what were we talking about? The c6 square is ready to be taken over. You can't stop the loss of that. Castle is just devastating. It's very bad. It's horrible, in fact. So, takes bishop to e7. We pin, or rather Hikaru pins. We're just vicariously living through Hikaru. Knight to e5 is the return sacrifice necessary to block And Hikaru takes. The opponent, Loek van Wely, gives a check on g5. Kingside steps to b1. D takes. Although, what would be interesting is just to simply castle and maybe get out of the fray. But then there's still knight to c6 in this variation. Very sharp one picked by Hikaru. And after takes, rook 2. Now, black does have the bishop pair. There is an advanced pawn. It's a dangerous position. But after king to b1, d takes. So we still have knight to c6. Everything in this setup that Hikaru picks is forward. Bishop to f6 by the opponent, simply because, well, you're attacking the rook, but the center is being attacked and your king is still there. X-rayed, lasered, everything. The cannon's aimed at your king. Now it's tricky because the question is, after knight to c6, which is the desired square by Hikaru, which is the dream square. Your rook is attacked, this pawn is attacked. How do you defend this position? And here, bishop to f6 was played. Of course, taking this removes the steam of having this power, this powerful piece. So bishop to d3 by Hikaru, h5 by Van Wely, which is a slight inaccuracy. Although even moves like rook to b7 makes this extremely difficult, because you can have the prodding move queen to h5, attacking this once, twice, 3 times. If you push this, then you never get to castle. The king is in the middle of the board with this powerful sets of pieces. So bishop to d3, h5. Now really loose on the king side. What does Hikaru play here? Only forward. Only forward moves, my friend. Well, the answer in 3, 2, and 1. Hikaru plays rook takes on e5. That's attack twice, so you don't want to take that with the queen. Bishop to e5, rook to e1. Again, reinforcing the pin. And still having the rook there being threatened, attacked, and taunted. This is super precarious, because what do you play here as black? Something haphazard like f6 weakens your light squares. So what happens when you do that and you have this raging knight in front of your queen side? Well, you sacrifice the rook. And after takes, this is no longer accessible, and this is forced. Check. And that's mate. Somehow it's lagging. I gotta fix this. So back to the previous question, how do you solve this problem? Bishop to g4? Well, not quite. So you have queen to f4, pinning once, twice, 3 times. And Van Wely just gives up on that idea. And Hikaru chomps. Knight takes, or rather rook takes on e5 with a threat still, with control of e7. So g6 by Van Wely, which unfortunately doesn't have any defense from a dark square diagonal piece. Call the bishop. Queen to f6, rook to b8 with a check. Now you can't ignore knight to e7, because it'll be, well, if you do sidestep, this is controlled. There's an attack here. This attack twice, and it's not just an attack. It's bishop takes, f takes, queen takes. This is an exit square. This is an exit square, and that's checkmate. So you have to take. After knight to e7, Hikaru has punished the opponent so severely. It's not a long positional grind. He's about to ease the suffering by finishing him quickly. Rook takes, and still, mind you, there is the looming threat of the 7th rank and the power of the bishop. So queen takes on h2. Bishop takes, of course takes, leads to mate. So gives a check, goes up, bishop to f7, queen takes, rook takes, and now it's rook versus bishop. Simply takes, chomps, potential passer, king to g7, takes. b5. b6. With a check. And what do you do here? You block. But this is futile. So, this is threatened. What do you do when we've got pushes here? Well, you resign. So, the opponent resigned. That was a blistering attack by Hikaru against Loek van Wely, one of the top Dutch players. I don't know how instructive that was, but that was only forward. Forward for intention, with the intention of attack, and forward to defend the keep. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you guys later. Double peace.